going on, everybody? Welcome to the weekly pod chat / podcast with the Force the Trainer group. So today we're going to be going over two main things, and one of them is going to be weigh-ins, and the second one is going to be progress pictures. And the reason why they're important, the reason why we need to be consistent with them, and what benefits those two things bring to your fitness journey, and how they're going to help you in the long run, and how you're going to see quicker results while utilizing those things. So also at the end, I'm going to be putting in a Q&A. And once we have the Q&A, that's when I'll answer any questions that pertain to anything you have to ask. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So weighing in. Why is weighing in so important? The reason weighing in is so important is that is how we are going to scale body fat loss or muscle being built. So when we're trying to figure out if we're losing body fat or building muscle or gaining body fat, we need to be able to have some metric to be able to follow to see if either one of those things is happening. Does that make sense? The reason why we use the weigh-ins as a metric to measure if any of those three things are happening is so we can see, is what we're doing when it comes to nutrition, training, sleep, are all in line with the goal that we have. So if your goal is fat loss, the most you can safely lose whenever you're already depleting your glycogen storage, your water weight, and things of that nature, you're going to be losing on average 1 to a maximum 2 pounds per week. And whenever that happens, if you are not seeing that trend, something is either not being tracked, something is not being tracked correctly, accurately, consistently enough, you are eating too much, or the weigh-in circumstances, the circumstances of your weigh-ins could be off. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Let's just start with the first thing. How to weigh in, when to weigh in, and under what circumstances do you weigh in? The perfect world scenario is going to be when you wake up, after you go pee, and after you have a good poop. That is going to be whenever you have the perfect weigh-in. So you wake up, you go pee, you have a good poo, you come back to your room, you get butt-ass naked, get into your birthday suit, and you step onto the scale. That is going to be the bare bones, perfect world scenario weigh-in for you. You're not going to have any extra fluids in you, and also you're going to be fasted. So before you take a drink of water, before you have your morning coffee, before you ingest literally anything, step on that scale in your birthday suit after you went to use the restroom, okay? And the reason that is, every ounce of water adds so much body weight, okay? That could be 0.1, it could be a pound. So those things need to be taken into account. Now, I can hear a couple of you in my brain already saying that, hey, I don't have a bowel movement in the morning. Maybe you have it later in the morning. Maybe it's only after you've had your morning caffeine or your morning coffee, or after you had your sip of water. That is okay. In your check-in, what we're going to need to start doing, because in my check-in form, you will see if you did not have a bowel movement in those mornings, notate it for those days. Because, especially for you ladies, your weight can fluctuate up to 12, 13 pounds, especially leading into your menstrual cycle or during your menstrual cycle, like the menstrual phase of the cycle itself. Not during luteal or anything like that, but whenever you're during menstruation, your weight is going to fluctuate the most, and it could be up to 13 pounds, which is freaking crazy. The fact that you'll have to go through that is just ridiculous, and it's unfair. It's just unfair. So we got out of the way the perfect situation and circumstances for your weigh-in. Now, why is that? This is going to be the bare bones before you had any meals, before you had any liquids, going into your day. Now, your day starts, you ingest food, you ingest liquids, and you're going to be doing activity. There's something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So you are walking through your house, you are grabbing things out of cabinets, you are cooking, you are making your coffee, you are grabbing your stuff for work, you're folding laundry. Every activity that you do while you're literally just existing and going through your day is part of non-exercise activity thermogenesis, because it is activity and it's not technically exercise. But every piece of activity requires energy, aka calories. You're going to be burning those calories. You're going to be burning said calories while you're doing literally anything. Then whenever you ingest food, you're going to be ingesting calories, and the deficit comes in an average of the entire week, the entire month, the entire year, your entire life. It comes in a sort of average. If our goal is fat loss, are we in a calorie deficit more often than not? That is how we're going to see if we're consistent and safe 1 to 2 pounds lost every week. Now, someone that is starting, someone that is after a long time off, someone that is new to the gym, someone that is starting from a really difficult starting point of being severely overweight or having a really high body fat percentage, you are going to have a significant drop in body weight in the first couple weeks. You are going to have like, man, in 3 weeks, I've lost 12 pounds. And in the first month, I lost 20 pounds. We have to acknowledge that that 20 pounds, all of that is not body fat. That is going to be most likely glycogen and water. And when those things come off, that's where we're going to start attacking the body fat directly. Now, on the flip side of the coin, if we're building muscle, and it's something called hypertrophy. If we are building muscle, the situation and circumstances for your weigh-ins need to be the same, and because the context is the same. But when it comes to seeing the weight go up, this is where it's on an individual basis, depending on your genetics, depending on your hormonal makeup, depending on how your endocrine hormone system is operating. And if you have all the formulations and all those stars aligned, and your training and nutrition, your sleep, for you to be building muscle, you could add a couple ounces of tissue per week. Now, I want to make something very, very clear to everybody in here, and I want you to drop fire emojis or drop any kind of emojis in the chat if this makes sense. Because this is a big truth bomb that some of you might not like, but it's the truth, and you're going to hear it from me. There are people in the IFBB, professional bodybuilders, they take an obscene amount of steroids, an obscene amount of peptides, performance-enhancing drugs, and at the end of an entire year, because a lot of the people that have either won the Olympia or qualified for the Olympia, they train for one show per year. And from one Olympia to the next, they might have 1 more pound of muscle than they did the last year. Building muscle tissue takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and consistency, a lot of time in recovery, training, nutrition, all those things. The stars need to be aligned perfectly for muscle tissue to be built, and built in specific places, especially depending on your genetics and your hormones. So with that being said, anyone that thinks, oh, well, I gain muscle really easily even though I'm a woman. Here's the thing. No, you don't. Whenever you are building muscle, you are in a calorie surplus. So whenever we were talking about calorie deficits and burning the body fat, what did we say? We talked that whenever you deplete your glycogen and you deplete your water weight, that's when you're going to start attacking the body fat, right? So that happens when you're in a calorie deficit. If you're in a calorie surplus, what's going to come back? Water weight and glycogen storage. When those 3 things, calorie surplus, glycogen and water, glycogen storage and water, that goes up, what's going to happen? Your body is going to swell up. You are going to have your skin like stretch out for the muscles that you have. So you're going to get the appearance in the mirror that you're going to be gaining muscle. You are gaining weight. And then whenever we get into another calorie deficit later down the line and we burn that body fat off and you're able to see more muscle, that's how you know it for a fact that you built that muscle. Now, how can you see that while during a bulking phase? That's whenever you're achieving progressive overload, you're able to get stronger with lifts, you're able to control weight more easily, and you're able to just be stronger. That is going to be the top indicator that you are building muscle. So, and while you're in a calorie surplus. So that being said, I hope that all made sense. Anyone in the chat, if that made sense, drop some emojis, drop me some reactions in the chat if that made sense. Please let me know. Please let me know you're here. Awesome. Thank you, Spencer. Now, the next thing is going to be progress pictures. Progress pictures are a tough subject. Just like weighing in, I can understand that weighing in can be tough on you mentally. I can understand why that is. We do not want to see a number on the scale and think back to a time where we enjoyed how we looked at our bodies and we knew what that weight was. And then we see the weight that we are now and we think, oh, it must be horrible. Here's the thing. You could be at your peak the peak that you've had for at your title life. Let's say it's your high school weight. Let's say you weighed 130 pounds in high school. I'm throwing a random number. This is not talking about anybody if you're around that body weight. But let's say you weighed 130 pounds in high school and that was your peak body. That was the favorite body you've ever had before kids, before responsibility, before your marriage, all those things. If I've worked with people that have been in that situation and they now weigh 165, 170, and they look better than they did at 130. They were able to do more things, have more energy, just be the best version of themselves, and it has nothing to do with being towards that weight. They are almost 40 pounds heavier. They're 30 pounds heavier, and they're able to almost 40 pounds heavier, and they are able to know that this is their new peak. they are better off. So moving on to the pictures, like I've said, I have all these things written down, just bullet points, but let's go into the circumstances of how to do your check-in pictures, your progress pictures. Kind of the same setup when it comes to your weigh-ins on why it's important, but the way I like to describe it and the way I believe is the best is perfect world scenario. You have a tripod with a ring light and you have your phone in there, your phone in there. You set your phone on the tripod, you turn on that ring light, turn every other light off in the house, and you stand perfectly within frame, head to toe. You click record for a video, you stand there for a couple seconds, turn to your right like a mugshot, stand there for a couple seconds, turn right again, and you are facing to the back. And then after you hold there for a couple seconds, words are hard, do not judge me. But then you go back, you hit stop record, then in that video you start playing it, and you screenshot every position where you're facing the front, side, and back. Then in your onboarding, you saw that you need to go into layout and put those pictures together, upload them into the app, and that's how I am able to see things. Now, I want you all to think about it yourself. You can respond to this in the chat, which I would prefer, but if you don't, that's fine. I can kind of speak for you when it comes to my knowledge and experience when it comes to all the clients I've had. So when you see your progress pictures, you are going to see the parts of your body you hate. You are going to see your progress pictures and hate every single aspect of it. Every single pixel on that screen you are going to dislike. What do I see? Am I seeing inches going down? Am I seeing posture improving? Am I seeing that little piece of meat right here underneath the chin? I know I have a beard, but I got one too. Like, I'm a little turkey too. Are we seeing that? Is that slimming down? Are we seeing more of a jawline? Are we seeing more separation in the shoulders? If we have internally rotated shoulders, are they starting to pull back? Does our neck go from this to this? All those different changes need to go into effect, but I guarantee you're not thinking about those, and that's what I'm here for. I look at those things, I see if the top of the glute is lifting, even though you might think you're getting flatter, you're actually lifting it up, then your skin's not knowing how to react to that yet, your fat's not sitting there like it usually does. Those are all things I take into account. So whenever I tell you, hey, you're making progress, and you go, I'm a fat piece of lard, I don't like it, you're lying to yourself and you're only making things harder for yourself. Stop it. Get some help. Well, you already are. You're here. I'm your coach. Welcome. So, yeah, Spencer, me. Hashtag me. I'll just be honest with you guys. I hate taking my check-in pictures. Like, whenever I was in my last bodybuilding prep, I had to take check-in pictures with my mandatory poses twice a week. I had to do them in the middle of the week and I had to do them at the end of the week. And I fucking hated it. I hated it so much. I have no bad things to say about the coach that I was working with, but I thought that was a little much. Like, I'm a coach too, and I don't need all of that. But I had to take my check-in pictures with my mandatory poses in my posing trunks in the morning, like the first thing after I weighed in, twice a week. And I hated putting those little chones on and posing. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it in my underwear. And then I had to like hike my underwear up. It was a whole thing. So the other thing that progress pictures are good for outside of being present with your coach is progress pictures can be your motivation. Whenever you're consistent, you are going to start seeing changes. Even though I just acknowledged that you're probably going to be not paying attention to those things, I'm going to be the one pointing them out to you so you can start seeing them. Not the chones. But I'm going to start pointing things out to you. Jess, you are a perfect example of this. I will send you you have posted your progress pictures into the app, and then I send you a screenshot of two things side by side, and you're like, holy shit. You're like, I didn't notice this. It's like, yeah, like I totally get that. Progress pictures are going to be your biggest motivator because the number on the scale is not going to move as fast as you want to. I don't care who you are or who you think you are. It's not going to move as fast as you want it to. It's going to move either faster or slower, but the thing is, when you're doing everything right, it's going to move at the exact perfect pace that we need it to. So that's what we need to focus on the most. But progress pictures being the biggest motivator because that is when you're going to see the most changes. And the thing about the fitness journey is there is an outfit, there is a shirt, there is a pair of pants, there is an article of clothing that you have put on or tried to put on, and then you saw a mirror and you were like, nope, I am not doing that. I'm not wearing this. That bitch is going to say something, or this person's going to think that, or I'm going to think, nope, I just can't do it. I look like a fat tub of lard. Like, I'm just not going to do it. We've all been there. We've all experienced those things, me included. I will prove it to you right now. Here is 4 pairs of shorts that I have that I can no longer fit into. My legs are too big, my waist is too wide, I can no longer fit into these things. They are not Hoochie Daddy shorts, they're just Hoochie shorts. I'm not wearing them anymore. I'm gonna go donate them. So I don't want you to think that you're alone in this. I want you to know that this is a normal thing, and it is a positive thing going in and going through this journey. So how is the motivation part going to help you? It's going to be the part of the accountability. So when you join this program, I told you that there's going to be accountability, weekly check-ins, this group, me being able to contact me at any point in time and tell me that you're going through something. Like, there is someone in this group, or that could have been in this group previously, that wanted to throw in the towel. And I want to be very open and transparent without dropping any names or saying anything that could reveal who this person was. But after a specific amount of time, they wanted to throw in the towel because they felt lost, they didn't know what to do, they didn't feel confident. But here's the thing, they were only in it for a period of time that could not have possibly shown any progress, and the intimidation factor just got to this person. The one thing is, me being here for y'all, it negates all those things. When it comes to not how to use the machines, yeah, there's how-to videos in the app, but send me a video of you doing it and I will give you a form check. I have the form check channel inside of this group, and people that have been here for a couple of years that know what they're doing, like Spencer, Brad, Jess, all these people, including myself, will be able to help you with that. And we will be able to give you that form check confidently. So with that being said, the accountability part of it is going to be, when it comes to progress pictures, it keeps you accountable because it's something that you have to do every week. It's something that you have to look at. It's something you have to suffer through for a while. And then there's going to be a day that you're excited to take them. You're going to look at yourself, you're going to look at the progress, and you're going to know, I did the damn thing. So, main takeaways when it comes to weigh-ins: set yourself up for success. Don't take any liquids, don't take any food. Make sure to go to the restroom, but if you're not able to go boom boom, make sure to notate that in your check-in, and we will work with those numbers. And we go off the weekly average, as you see. So main takeaways: set yourself up for success. Make sure you don't mess up the numbers with things that you can control. If there's things that you can't control, like not being able to go to the restroom, we're good. We can work with that. Then when it comes to the pictures, set yourself up for success again. Make sure it's in the same corner of your house or your apartment every single time you do it, and you will be able to see the consistent changes. Because if you do it in different clothes or different styles of clothes, like, we're not going to do check-in pictures in a baggy t-shirt, all right? We're just not. Like, I have it in my onboarding of how you're supposed to do it and how it's going to be the best for you and the best for me to be able to see the physique and see what we're doing. Go ahead and do that. Follow those instructions if you don't mind, please. This is why I made the video. The other thing I want you to acknowledge is that as long as you stay consistent, that is when you're going to see the most progress. These two things, weigh-ins and check-in pictures, they are going to be the biggest indicators of change. You're going to see your reps and weights change. You're going to see the difficulty level change, whether it gets easier or harder. You're going to see a ton of things changing, whether it be calories, macros, days you're going to the gym. Life makes these things difficult to focus on. So your weight and the weigh-ins, your pictures that you take every week, they're going to be the biggest indicator of change going through every single week. And it's also going to be the biggest indicator if an adjustment needs to be made when it goes into your next week or to your next phase, especially with me. So if we're not seeing something in these pictures and these weigh-ins, something's got to give, and that's where I come in. Okay, so that is the main 2 points I wanted to make. I know I ramble, I know I rant. I'm going to get better at this. I like making videos because I can take a million takes and stutter over my words a million times. Can't do that live. So I'm going to open up the floor to the Q&A. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and say it out loud, I am here for it, and I will respond to you right now. Let me know. All right, we're all good. I like the meme. So the one thing I'm going to ask of everybody is I'm going to pose for this camera. I'm going to ask you to screenshot it. I'm going to ask you to post it to your Instagram stories and tell me what your biggest takeaway was for this live. And then I will repost that on my story, and then we will keep this progress going. And if you have anybody else that wants to join this group, or you know someone that could benefit from this group is free. It's going to be open for everybody. And then I'm going to make a separate one for people once this gets big enough to where we have something a little bit more private for our clients. But the main thing is I want to drop free value for you guys and just keep on dropping information. So keep those channels going. I'm going to keep posting content in there. Please engage, and we're going to get this group popping. So I'm going to go ahead and pose. Screenshot that, put it in your stories, post your biggest takeaways, and I'm going to repost it myself. Even if it's a question, I'll answer that question too. But I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I will talk to y'all next week. Deuces.